Language is one of the most important parts of a person's identity. A famous quote by Rita Mae Brown says, "Language is the roadmap of a culture. It tells you where its people come from and where they are going." I think this quote speaks beautifully to the importance of a language to an individual, a community, and to the identity that one may find within language. If this is true, however, why do people say things such as, "We speak English in this country," and "If you want to talk that language, go back to that country"? This isn't just something that is found in one country, but a global sort of problem that people believe language is a strictly one-way street. That monolingualism is the only way you can be, and that speaking the correct language is dependent on where you are. You may have heard of Spanglish, the sort of mixing of English and Spanish all into one and interchangeably using English within Spanish structured sentences and vice versa. Another kind of language you may have heard of is Ebonics, or AAVE. Although this language is mainly in English, it is different in many ways. The structure of the sentences, the way the words are said and pronounced, I present these because these may seem like incorrect ways of speaking English. However, I want to propose that they are an evolution of English within the community that speaks these forms of languages. Translingualism is the idea that a person speaks or that a person learns language not just by what a book or definition says, but by how others around them speak. The way their community or culture talks can also influence the way they speak English. For example, someone with a heavy accent may pronounce words different, yet is still speaking the words correctly, but would not be considered knowledgeable of the English language due to their accent. I think this idea of translingualism is connected to the rhetorical idea of intersectionality and how a person isn't just a male or female, but a brown Cuban American gay female. The idea that we aren't just one thing, I think, is applicable to language. Video games and the communities formed within and around them are a great example of translingualism at work. I think prove prove to show that even within the English language, the community and culture can dictate the way a person speaks and learns a language. I want to talk about video game communities and the language that has emerged from them. Although this gamer language has no name, I will just be calling it just that, gamer language. Now, depending on what gaming community you are involved in or what kind of gamer you are talking to, the terms and language used may change. Today I want to focus on two specific gaming communities, that being the Twitch live streaming community and the competitive FPS gaming community. Although everyone within both communities are gamers, the language may differ and it may be a lot more drastic than one may think. So let's begin with the Twitch live streaming community. I will from now on just refer to it as the Twitch community, but remember that I am speaking about gamers that live stream themselves playing games and not specifically the game itself. Twitch as a community has gone through many changes since its launch in 2011. Many terms have changed and even become bannable offenses within the community since then, and I think this community is a great example of just how intersectionality plays a huge role within language and the way it emerges. I'm going to use some words and phrases that may be offensive now, but I will do my best to be respectful and not use them in explicit ways, only to show an example of some of the ways these gamers used to speak. One big word that was very often used, especially since I joined the community around 2013, was the word fag. When people would give unwanted advice within the chat, others would call them advice fags. When someone was new to the community, they were considered and labeled new fags. There are obviously other ways in which this term was used, but I think I have painted a good enough picture already. Since then, the community and the platform itself have become way more inclusive, especially towards the LGBT community, and terms such as these have been replaced. Now instead of using the F word, the community says frogs. This is because the icon of Pepe the Frog, which in the broader scope of the internet has turned into a hate symbol, is just a cute drawing of a frog within Twitch. It is a sort of icon of the website, and so offensive terms like the F word are now replaced with frog instead. However, if I told some random person on the street they were being an advice frog because they are giving unwanted advice, I would be looked at as a weirdo, but on Twitch, you would be weird not to say this. I think this is exemplary of just how much community can affect even just one word and change meaning or words into others, even if it may not make any sense. John McWhorter, in his opinion piece on the New York Times, talks about how abrasive language 50 years ago isn't as abrasive today, but he also speaks about how language that was acceptable 50 years ago isn't today. Words such as the F word and the N word are no longer given passes and are met with extreme disgust if said, especially if in public. I think this is similar to the way gaming language has changed, some for the better and some for the worse. Another term, not exclusive to Twitch, but widely used within gaming communities, especially within the FPS gaming community, is the word rape. Not as prevalent anymore as it was in the past, rape was used to express just how badly you beat your opponent. Saying something such as, "Yeah man, those noobs got raped," was extremely common and even used within high production tournaments and across the gaming scene.
Definitely. So now Swipe gets less sick. If that knife didn't hit though, he would go face and get raped by Swipe.
This word, falling from grace in gaming, wasn't caused by gamers not wanting to offend rape victims, but instead it was forced to be eliminated by sponsors and tournament organizers who saw the problematic nature of this language. Within some communities, this has been met with backlash, with some people saying this is just how gamers speak and that they don't mean anything by it. However, gamer language isn't all bad and offensive, and there are many terms and acronyms used within gaming to the point where sometimes an entire sentence is almost not understandable unless the person listening is also a gamer. I could say something such as, "Yo, my CC is on CD, but the DR is done. They need to nerf that class because it's just a noob trap at this point." Even though every word was said in English, I bet someone who plays video games could understand and follow what I said, even if they exclusively talk different languages than me. This is because not only is this gamer language not just an encompassing language, but it changes from game community to game community. The language I just used is more specific to the MMORPG, or massive multiplayer online role-playing game, community, but is also used in the MOBA or multiplayer online battle arena game community. Even just the names for these communities may be hard to understand as an outsider, but this is just more proof that this is its own sort of language. Even though the words are all in English, just knowing the English language is not enough to grasp the way each gamer is speaking to each other. Bell Hooks, in their chapter titled Language, Teaching New Worlds/New Words, talks about how black slaves in America formed their own way of speaking. How the way they spoke, the rupture of standard English enabled and enables rebellion and resistance. I think this speaks to how powerful language is to a community, especially a community who would be considered as outsiders and others. To an extremely lesser extent, gaming language was a way for the nerds and geeks to form their own community and identify with each other. As these communities begin to grow and harbor new players, the language begins to grow and change to become more exclusive but also more specific. I hope this small overview of some of the ways that gaming language has changed and how gaming language is still evolving has been helpful in understanding the way that translingualism is attempting to explain language. There are other examples within gaming of how gamers even learn and incorporate languages other than English and how English words and terms are used in non-English speaking countries within the gaming community. Gaming language encompasses a lot, but I wanted to pick some examples of gaming language that shows the evolution from its inception to what it is today. I think the language in gaming still has a long way to go and will continue to evolve and shift, especially with how inclusive gaming is attempting to be nowadays. I think new words will form and old words will vanquish. However, it will still be a language that gamers stick to and understand and communicate with, whether they all speak English or not.